Guys, after my friend has now bought my Sky Striker, I decide to build the deck. Not the wisest decision under the sun, but money is money, so we'll take the money and give him a deck that's an uphill battle for this format. Um, but in the spirit of the fact that he's built it, I've decided to actually test it out again. Obviously, I haven't played this since the last time I went to Euros, which Lord knows how long that was ago. Um, and I didn't do too well with it. I think I made day 2 and then I lost the first round. But this was during Thunder Dragon format, so all is forgiven when your opponent summons multiple big monsters and you don't draw any form of starter, extender, really anything. That was the day that I realized Eagle Booster is terrible. But moving on from that, I've updated the deck a little bit. There is some spice that you can see probably in one or two of the cards that you might not be able to make out straight away. And yes, there is a Zeus in the extra deck. There is a big brain reason for it, which I realized when I was testing Sky Striker from last format that Zeus is actually really good in this deck because you steal your opponent's stuff and make a Zeus over it. We're going to go through the card by card and then go through the explanation for like some of the stuff at the end. So we start off with 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Droll, 3 Nibiru, 3 Ray, and 1 Rose. So the reason why we're not playing multiple forms of Rose is because we have the linkage, we have Engage, so it's another way through Rose if needed. Ray is obviously obligatory at 3. You play any less than 3, you're playing a very bad version of this. I find that Rose tends to kind of brick until it gets in the grave. There have been points where I just don't want to see this card ever, where it's kind of needed as another name, and it is a little bit form of an extender-ish and a little bit of protection depending on the circumstance. But besides that, I would rather not see this card that often. As for the 3 Nibirus, it's great for this format. People just walk into it all the time, and it doesn't matter the nib coming to your field because you play Area 0. Playing multi-roll is now played at 2 in this, so you have ways out to outer, and if you draw a Ray, you just turn into a Zeke. So that deals with your Nibiru, so it's not really that much of a problem. Droll is Droll. It's better Ash at some points. Like, I discussed the theory with one of my friends where I said that Droll should actually be banned long before Ash ever gets contemplated so. Because the thing is, Droll comes and goes in formats, but the formats that it's good in, it just shuts down an entire turn, so then it makes it easier for you to be able to do whatever you're going to do. Obviously, it depends on certain kind of matchups, but in the matchups where it works, it really does shine through and just says no completely. Ash, because it's Ash. There's no real other explanation for it. Then for the spells, we have the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, Double Desires, 1 Rota, 1 Area 0, 1 Afterburners, Hornet Drones, Shark Cannon, 3 Widow Anchor, 2 Multi-Roll, 2 Engage, 3 Linkage, 1 Terraforming, 1 Triple Tactics Talents, 3 Thrust, 1 Upstart, and then I'll just round off the traps with the 3 Infinite Impermanence. Now, the reason why I've played Upstart over Metal Force Fusion, because in some builds they do play the Metal Force Fusion because it's a free draw, there's additional spell in the grave, it's kind of dead unless you play Foolish Burial Goods or you draw it with Area 0 or multi-roll. While Upstart is just generically good because you're playing a 39 card deck and it is another spell, so once you've gone through all your stuff, you can just play the Upstart for an additional draw, or you just play it for the additional draw earlier, and then it's just another spell that's in the grave. The talents, the triple tactics in both forms, this is just amazing in this deck. This is extra copies of Engage. So it searches just any spell that you need, and it just fixes so many situations. You put out hand traps, you're just like, oh, cool. So I get my free access to multi-roll now, or Engage, or anything else, and you done goofed. You done goofed real bad. And if your hand's already fine, and pretty as it is, then you just search talents and just rip a card out of their hand. As for all the other Sky Striker stuff, I'm kind of fine the way it is. I don't think Shark Cannon needs to be played at multiple copies in this format. I don't believe it's a format where banishing stuff from the grave is necessarily like as good as it used to be. And fair enough, it does have the reborn effect so that you can like blink climb into other stuff, but it's not as useful. Fair enough, you can add it back with Kagari and things like that. I don't play the Hercules base in this. I used to do it because it was just like free draw power because you could equip it to your opponent's stuff and then ram your Sky Strikers into it to get free draws, and also it was a mini pot of Avarice, but The idea is to like kill your opponent a little bit quicker than what you used to back in the day, so then there's no particular reason to play that. Multi-role, I don't want to play at 3 because of the tactics thrust, of course. It's not really a card that needs to be at 3. It's kind of find it 2, fair enough. Cosmic is running around in the format, so it does affect the multi-role, but it's not as important. You can go through a lot of stuff in this and just like win off making bigger stuff or just like random spot removal. Like your opponent summons, let's say, a Noir, and then they use up the first few effects of it. It's no longer immune, so you can just steal it with the Widow Anchor or just afterburners it straight away. So then it's no longer a problem. And your opponent trying to deal with your opponent trying to deal with Sky Striker stuff with Ray in the grave, they have to out both of, or it just leads to the fact that nothing's changed really in the game state. It's just perfectly fine, just the way it is. But that's really it for it. Maybe I could play a secondary 0, maybe a second Afterburners, but I don't see a reason for a second copy of Area 0. It kind of becomes just a non-useful card after a while. Fair enough, it cleared stuff from the main monster zone when I dropped the nib, but beyond that, it's not as useful. And obviously, because of the linkage, you can make the Hayate, and then the Hayate sends the Ray to the grave, so you're not as worried about not having access to Ray because you have multiple ways to it to guarantee that you get there. Fair enough. If you're on drop shifter, you're just going to have a terrible day for a little bit, but the decks that play shifter, hopefully all your spells protect you. And then we're going to go into the extra deck. We play the 1 Zeke, the 3 Shizuku, the 1 Kaina, 3 Kagari, 3 Hayate, 1 Hita, 1 Access Code, and 2 of the Zeus. So I was tempted to take out the access code for Ningrisu, but that's a very bad idea because the amount of times where I've just been able to Widow Anchor my opponent's Unicorn or just anything to link climb into the access code is just, it's free stuff. We play the Heater over any of the other Charmers because I believe Ash is more of an important card in the format, as well as we could have played the Wind one because Droll is also running about, but it's just a case of just getting the free card from the grave to then make it easier to make the Zeus, but it doesn't matter as much. And I know some of you probably thought, okay, he makes Hita, summons the monster from grave, that's only 3, that doesn't make access code. That's what the Shark Cannon's for, that's what the Widow Anchor's for. You activate those first, and then you actually use the Heat effect to get more stuff. The funny part is the Zeus in the extra. So the amount of times that my opponents made like a Shangri-La or something like that. This was not even just when when engage was at 1. When your opponent makes a Shangri-La or some other stuff, you draw the Widow Anchor, you steal the Shangri-La, you ram it into anything that they have in defense, and make a Zeus. And then next turn, you can do the same again because your opponent's not thinking that you're playing multiple Zeus in here. But the fact is that you have this ability to constantly steal their stuff and then make this. Now, fair enough, it does conflict with the fact that if you multi-roll and you get too much stuff banished, you're not going to have a great day. But as long as you play it like really tactically, it doesn't really matter because sometimes just a Zeus clearing the entire board, normal Ray attack, Zeus attack, Ray tag out into Kagari. Sometimes it's just enough to kill him. But if not, it's not a great thing. Kaina's has to be obligatory played because it's 3 life points in time. So if your opponent doesn't have an Infirm or a Effect Veiler, then you just win off Kaina. We used to play multiples of this, but there's no real point to playing multiple Kainas anymore because you play other stuff in the extra deck. If you're going to play multiple Kaina, you would probably take out the Zeus stuff. But yeah. Then for the extra deck, we play 2 of the, well, for the side deck, we play 2 of the Water Kaiju, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, 2 Lightning Storm, the second Shark Cannon, 3 of the Organism, 3, there can be only 1, and 1 White Howling. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this side because it's kind of a bit standard and explains itself. The Kaijus do the Kaiju thing. Lightning Storm is another spell that also gets rid of stuff. That's the only reason you don't play evenly, play that over it. The main one is actually the White Howling. So there was an idea when this first came out that this card would be low-key broken for a specific format. But that format never came until recently, because Tactics Thrust searches. So Tactics Thrust searches this, and this is like a free way to deal with cash, a free way to deal with Pearly. So what you do is you make a Shizuku, so then this is just online. And then it's an Imperial Order for the turn. So it deals with so much. Obviously, like, most people don't even know this card exists. Wait till your opponent resolves a spell and then just say no. Like, how difficult is it for Pearly to be able to get through your entire board with only one spell? How hard is it for Cash? Well, Cash has already been hit on the ban list, but how hard is it for Cash to be able to deal with anything? They activate Thesiosis. That's it. No field spell, no nothing, because they might do the Pressure Planet first, which is fine. But after the Thesiosis is resolved, that's it. They don't have anything. They can't play a single card. Against Plunder, this is bloody amazing because it's just hilarious. They activate their Extrav, and then that's it. No field spell, no anything else. Now I know I've gone about Flunder a lot. Just some nice, lovely Flunder PTSD, effectively. But besides that, it's really, really good. I was contemplating playing it 3, but I think we'll just stick to the 1 for now. Maybe we can find some room in the future in this list. But that's really it. The only thing that I was contemplating changing is seeing if it can fit a playset of Evenly in the main, because this deck doesn't like going first. It prefers going second, but it can go first